Thanks everybody for being here. If the cameras are ready to go, I'll get going. I really appreciate you being here this afternoon. Earlier today I met with the Minister for Skills, TAFE and the Hunter about a significant breach of the Ministerial Code of Conduct. And as a result of that conversation, I've asked him to resign his commission as a minister, and he has agreed to do that. As a result, he will no longer be a minister in the New South Wales government. I've formed the view that Minister Crackenthorpe failed to comply with his obligations under the Ministerial Code of Conduct, and he failed to do that promptly, providing potential conflicts of interest to the New South Wales Cabinet Office and through them to me as the Premier of New South Wales. This has also given rise to concerns that he may have acted in matters in which he had a conflict between his public duties and private interests of members of his family. In short, Minister Crackenthorpe did not supply information about substantial private family holdings in the Hunter region until recently, when he should have, constituting a clear breach of the Ministerial Code. I have forwarded that information and other information to the Independent Commission Against Corruption for an inquiry by them if they choose to do so. Obviously, we were elected not long ago with a promise to restore trust and integrity to public matters and public life. Breaches of the Ministerial Code in this manner are a clear breach of that undertaking, and as a result I had to act. Minister Crackenthorpe will not be a minister in my government. I'm happy to take questions.
What are the natures of the family holdings, Premier?
Private, personal, family holdings, commercial holdings in the Hunter. He will. I haven't formed a judgment whether I've got concerns about his actions as a minister in relation to a conflict of interest and a potential breach of matters relating to his public interests and his private interests. But obviously they need to be tested. The only body that can do that is the Independent Commission Against Corruption. If in the end they communicate to us that they're prepared or are willing or will undertake an inquiry, of course he'll be stepped aside from the party room. But I think it's appropriate that I've taken matters to take him out, taken steps to take him out of executive responsibility in New South Wales, and I'll wait for their determination to take further action.
As you become aware of seeing the Premier, you're satisfied that he's not suitable to be a minister. We're not waiting for IFA to look back on that?
No. He has breached the Ministerial Code. As a result of that breach in the Ministerial Code relating to substantial private land holdings held by his family that were not disclosed to the Cabinet Office and therefore to me as the Premier of New South Wales, I've lost confidence in his ability to be a minister in my government.
How did you become aware?
I was made aware that there'd been a breach of the Ministerial Code today. I was made aware that there were substantial private family holdings earlier this week, which prompted a formal letter from me to Minister Crackenthorpe to detail all known private holdings by family members. That established the breach of the Ministerial Code, and as a result, he's moved from the Cabinet.
How did you first become aware of those holdings?
I can't go into those details. Obviously, that will be a matter to be investigated by the Independent Commission Against Corruption. I'm not trying to be coy or have intrigue in relation to those matters, but it's important that they're able to do that free of commentary from the government. Obviously, their procedures, if that does lead to a public inquiry, will be public and transparent to the people of New South Wales, and if they communicate with us about their determination, I'll make that public as well.
So what is your understanding, Premier, that the Minister has already made decisions which would benefit these private family holdings?
I can't speak to that. I've got concerns about it. They form part of my reference to the Independent Commission Against Corruption, but it's a matter for them to investigate. I've certainly got concerns given the substantial holdings held by his family in terms of private, commercial real estate in the Hunter.
What was his rationale for the
I don't want to speak to that. That's obviously a matter for him, and he can communicate that to the Independent Commission Against Corruption. But in any event, regardless of the rationale, there were significant private land holdings in the Hunter that were not communicated to us, so in many respects it doesn't matter what his rationale was. In an interim basis, the Deputy Premier and Minister for Education will become the Minister for Skills and TAFE, and the Minister for Police will be appointed the Interim Minister for the Hunter, and I'll make a decision about the composition of the Cabinet in the future.
Did you financially benefit?
I am disappointed. I fully acknowledge that. This is not what we want, and we want to have a cabinet in New South Wales that the people of New South Wales can believe in and can have trust in and faith in. But that's part of the reason why I've taken this decision to remove him as a result of inquiries that the Cabinet Office made and that I made.
Are you aware of the financial impact?
I can't say that. I'm not aware of that, obviously, but I do have concerns about potentially acting as Minister for Hunter, given the scale and size of the private holdings held by his family in the Hunter region. I don't have a definitive answer on that, but any information that I or anyone else in my government has will be passed on to the Independent Commission Against Corruption.
Do you know about the dollar figure on that?
I don't. No, Eddie, I don't have a dollar figure. Significant as in the number of private properties owned by family members in the Hunter, but I can't give you a number, but obviously more than a couple.
Can we just get some understanding of the nature of the breach of code of significant private family land holdings? Are we talking, is there a sector involved? Are we talking mining or something like that?
No,
What is
the
nature of
commercial real estate in the Hunter was not disclosed to the New South Wales Cabinet Office, held by members of Mr. Crackenthorpe's family.
So Mr. Crackenthorpe himself actually owned any of these properties himself?
So, in relation to properties held by him, they're disclosed on his pecuniary register as a Member of Parliament, but there are properties that are held by his wife in the Hunter. I'm not going to go into where they are and where they're located, because obviously that's a matter to be determined by the Independent Commission Against Corruption, so that would constitute a direct family member. There are also other properties held by in-laws in the Hunter that we should have been made aware of.
So just in terms of the ministerial breach, are we referring primarily to his role as a minister for Hunter or tertiary education skills?
Hunter.
Were the properties that were owned by his wife, should they have been on his pecuniary interest?
I don't want to draw a fine distinction in relation to that. My understanding is that there's a different threshold, if you like, in relation to disclosure for ministers, certainly in relation to direct family members as ministers. My understanding is that regular members of Parliament have an obligation to report their personal finances and real estate and property that they own, but not their spouses. But regardless of that, that's immaterial. He's a minister now.
So we don't now need to change those rules so that a spouse's properties are...
It's too early for me to draw a distinction in that. I mean, my job is to report that a minister has been removed from the New South Wales Cabinet because of a breach of the ministerial code. And I've also referred concerns that I have that he may have acted in matters that rendered a material benefit to him or his family as a result of decisions that he's made over the last 3 months.
So if you'd made these discoveries before you came to government, are they serious enough that you would have sacked him as well?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
So are the issues so serious that when before you tasted it, if you were aware of it before you came to government, would you have sacked him as well?
Well, I mean, we're getting into the world of the hypothetical. Obviously, this is going to be before the Independent Commission Against Corruption, but I'll make the point, generally speaking, owning property or family members owning property will be the circumstance for every Member of Parliament, all 93 in the lower house. The way you deal with conflicts of interest is disclosure and transparency to your boss, in this case the Premier of New South Wales and the Cabinet Office. That didn't happen, and there were substantial property holdings in the Hunter, not minor. Not a minor case of disclosure not coming forward.
Why was the minister made the minister for the Hunter? Was that a request from him?
Look, the circumstances in relation to the divvying up of portfolios were made very early in the government. Obviously, I had discussions with the former Minister for the Hunter in relation to his portfolios, but those conversations are between me and him.
Did he bother you for that though? Do you think he was premeditated?
Look, to be perfectly honest with you, I can't remember the circumstances, but it's not, I guess, odd that the member for Newcastle, who was a Minister for Skills, would be appointed Minister for the Hunter.
Did you then have asked him
I did. I spoke to him after question time, obviously before this media conference, and communicated to him that he couldn't remain a minister.
so he was going to sign?
Correct.
Do you have any expectation of him being involved?
I don't have any expectations. Obviously, my communication with him was about his future as a Minister of the Crown, which has come to an end today. Thanks, everybody.
If
If they open an inquiry and regarded as serious enough to launch an investigation, then no, he cannot stay inside the New South Wales Parliamentary Labor Party. Thanks everybody.